Atomfall is a 2025 first-person RPG FPS hybrid set in the UK during the Cold War. I've seen this game compared to Stalker, and this makes sense, because it too takes place in the zone of alienation of sorts. However, unlike Slavker, Atomfall has a rolly play system, progression, and perks. But at its core, this game is about solving a mystery. Strange things will happen in Atomfall, but the story never hands you straight answers. You are left to piece it together yourself. So you form your own hypothesis about what's going on, and then go online to share theories and argue with other players' interpretations. This is what Atomfall is about, and that's what we're gonna do in this video. The game starts you with a survivor difficulty selected by default. This is basically an equivalent of hard. Here is the thing, Atomfall doesn't use quest markers. You can enable them if you really want to, but by default you are working off journal entries that just describe what needs to be done. Sometimes major landmarks will get added to your map, but only the obvious ones you'd spot from miles away anyway. In these trying times, when even Morrowind has quest markers, it's up to Atomfall to carry the torch of civilization to the unwashed gamer masses. So, Windscale Power Plant, Cumberland, Northwest England. There was an accident. The public was assured there was nothing to fear. The army moved in and declared a quarantine. Nothing gets in or out. This was back in 1957. That's 5 years ago. Now, the player wakes up inside a bunker in the quarantine zone, with no memory of who they are. A panicking scientist tells us that people here tend to forget things, and then he gives us a piece of paper. The secrets are inside the interchange. The truth is under the Windscale plant, and the way there is through the interchange. Find someone to help you escape. And then we are set free to pursue our goals however we like. This is the Slatten Dale, a rock quarry.
Oberon must die.
Who is Oberon?
Oberon must die.
Whatever caused the incident also generated an interference field. There is no radio contact with the outside world, and we cannot physically leave because of the strict quarantine.
Only outlaws and loons round here now.
The key difference between this zone and the one in Chernobyl is that Cumbria was never evacuated. Without the state, civilization collapsed. Our first enemies are outlaws, basically an equivalent of bandits from Stalker. But unlike their counterparts, they don't talk in the Soviet war slang. No cheeky-breeky. British outlaws have a long way to go before they can match the cultural refinement of Soviet criminals. Maybe one day. Maybe sooner than you think. On a soldier's corpse we find a coded message from someone named Agravane, who calls the recipient Comrade. Clearly, there is some kind of communist infiltration at work. The Reds must be curious about what's happening in Cumberland.
There's other things too. Nasty things.
This is a feral mutant infected by the strange blue fungus. Ferals are fast melee attackers, very dangerous in packs, but manageable while solo, even for a fresh character. Exploration rewards come in the form of bard crates. They are like the big treasure chests in Skyrim. Ammunition is limited, but not so limited that melee has to become your main option. Unless you really want to. We can also kick people, and we can even kick while strafing, and that's crazy. I should say a few words about this game's roll-play system, which has its highs and lows. Many unlockable perks do things like increase buff duration, but then other options genuinely change the gameplay in a major way, like the ability to upgrade weapons. That sounds important. Weapon upgrades work like this. You find another copy of the same firearm and some gun oil. Combine them and suddenly your shotgun looks cleaner, and that means it's better. This is what inventory looks like. There is a limited number of item slots, so carrying too much garbage is discouraged. The game isn't paused while you are in the inventory, which is a feature I like a lot. Sponsorship disclosure. Today's video sponsor is Red Strain, a brand new major story expansion for Atomfall. The short version is that Red Strain to this game is what Old World Blues is to Fallout New Vegas. Structurally, Atomfall's world is divided into several huge open maps that you can tackle in almost any order. The vanilla release featured 5 such maps and delivered a tight, self-contained story running about 15 hours or so, almost exactly the length of Fallout 1. Since then, the developers have released 2 additional DLCs adding new explorable regions. Red Strain introduces test site Mariah. This expansion is a more advanced adventure, recommended for seasonal slavkers. Expect new enemy types, new weapons, including a silenced pistol making a stealth playstyle more viable, as well as a fresh storyline about exploring a core research facility, which is a corporate rival to Bard. Grab the main game and the brand new Red Strain DLC on all platforms using my links in the description or the pinned comment. We'll dive into the expansion content once our character is strong enough.
Attention! Wyndham Village is under the authority of the Quarantine Protocol.
The village? But I was told there is no civilization in the zone.
Well, I was speaking truth. From a certain point of view.
The military faction is called the Protocol.
For order. And for civilization. Or something like that, anyway.
There are all sorts of unpleasant rumors about the soldiers. Word is, their mission wasn't to rescue anybody. Instead, the military was sent to bury the survivors, like the HECU Marines from Half-Life. Looks like they're stuck in the zone with the rest of us.
There's something nasty at work here. Something in the soil.
The soldiers are evicting people from their homes and moving them deeper inside the perimeter. It's a military dictatorship.
It's what it would have been like if the Nazis had invaded after all.
But is it really that bad? I mean, look at this pub. It's cozy. Is that a group urinal? I've never seen anything like this. British people are strange. The society has its dissidents. Some are stockpiling Molotovs, others are drifting back into paganism, the old ways.
Everyone says the folk in the woods are cracked, but they look like the only sane ones around here to me.
They say the captain is from the south, and he doesn't understand these northern folk at all. Everyone here compares their opponents to Hitler. According to Captain Sims, it's the villagers who are Hitler. After doing some digging, one starts to see that at least some restrictions the soldiers impose actually make sense. The baker kept her infected husband locked up in her house upstairs.
Hey now, no need for violence.
She could have doomed the whole village. Captain Sims might be the adult in the room.
Watch yourself, Civvy.
Civvy? No, I'm the other guy. Every major area has an entrance to the interchange. Finding it is not the hard part. Welcome to the British Black Mesa, a science city hidden beneath Cumberland. No, I don't think so. The interchange is vast. It's bigger than any surface zone. Most areas are sealed off, but the central processor is still accessible. How do you track me?
Perception is key.
Who are you?
Everything depends upon the interchange.
In order to learn the truth about the incident, we'll have to bring the facility to life. You do this by acquiring atomic batteries. Molly the trader has one, another can be found right here in the central processor. Others are scattered throughout the world. Just like Black Mesa, the facility also has a railroad, but the trains are dead. The same cannot be said about the auto turrets. But perhaps we can use this to our advantage.
Whoever's in here, I mean you no harm.
Joyce Tanner, a rare visitor from the outside world. A recent expedition into the zone was ambushed by masked lunatics. Joyce may be the sole survivor.
I should be able to sort out an exit for us.
Interestingly, Joyce shows no recognition of us, suggesting that the amnesiac protagonist probably wasn't part of her expedition. the medical wing. Meet the former members of the British Atomic Research Division. Threatening music starts playing when they begin to approach you. Thralls have not suffered any physical deformities, but their minds are completely taken over by Oberon. They have an incredible amount of HP. I entered medical with 50 bullets for my pistol and exited with 0.
Come into the light where I can see you.
Alan Holder is one of the survivors of the incident. He is clearly infected by Oberon, but managed to keep its influence under control thanks to the serum he invented. And yes, he will share it with us. You might have already pieced it together, but just in case you didn't, Dr. Holder here lays it out in plain language. Oberon poses a mortal danger to mankind. If left unchecked, it will devour Europe and then the world. It must be stopped, and of everyone we've met, Dr. Holder seems the most qualified. His plan is to build a biological bomb to eradicate the organism.
This is the transaction.
The voice on the telephone says that if we kill Oberon, it will help us escape. This is one of the possible endings. The voice warns us not to trust Captain Sims. The protocol exists for Britain's survival, not ours. And if it comes to it, we will be sacrificed. They call it Operation Atomfall. But before committing to an ending, it's worth exploring the interchange some more, so that we understand our adversary a little better. It doesn't matter what Americans found in Roswell, this is bigger. The training stimulants we take to improve our skills are a technological miracle. Imagine a world where a university degree can be completed in a day, a doctor trained in a week, a soldier put through basic in minutes. Of course, the stimulants are Oberon-based technology. This means that we are almost certainly infected. If the interchange is like Black Mesa, then the contaminated caverns below are like Zen, complete with new life forms not found on the surface. Fancy finally meeting you, Oberon. Costerfell Woods. The soldiers in the village warned us about pagans. This is their home.
Are you willing to trust me?
Mother Jago is a herbalist who lives in the woods, having left Wyndham village to avoid persecution by the many Hitlers of that place. She is the prophet of Oberon. The woods is where we advance the communist plotline. The Soviet Union was performing an infiltration operation of Windscale that was before the incident. Agravane is the code name of the handler. What the British have hidden from the world is stupendous and obscene. May God forgive them. I cannot. The Druid faith predates Windscale. For centuries, the locals spoke to nature, and after the incident, the nature began to speak to them. Kick, strike, strike. So what do they eat? On the table we have raw meat, berries, and vials of poison. A balanced diet for sure. From what I have read outside of the game, the real-life Cumbrian pagans existed at the crossroads of sorts of Celtic, Anglo-Saxon, and Norse traditions, so their practices drew on a bunch of overlapping ideas. Prophecy, binding, shape-shifting, spirit bargains. This is the closest Oberon ever comes to laying out a philosophy. The ecstasy of the ever-life, a collective existence, humanity woven into one. This thing is in some ways similar to The Many from System Shock 2, except The Many was gross and flashy, while Oberon is pleasant to the human eye. It's like a beautiful flower.
Oberon is
A falling star, a meteor that hit Cumbria a century ago. The rock was rich with strange minerals fused with organic matter. The scientists have drilled too deep, and the violent backlash created the zone. But perhaps what happened at Windscale was no disaster.
A happy accident wrought by the meddling of those foolish scientists.
The Druids hear voices that command them to do things, and sometimes their eyes turn blue. But the ultimate joining is when you die and physically become one with the soil. I wonder what happens to your memories.
I can help you, mate.
We have learned a recipe of a tonic that can ease the burden of the voices. This will prove important later. And by later, I mean almost immediately. This is so satisfying to do. I love reactivating the interchange. We have one final major area to explore.
The quarantine protocol is no longer responsible for your safety.
Welcome to Skethermoor. The quarry was about the outlaws. The forest was about the Druids. The Skethermoor is about the soldiers.
You're not going to try and kill me, are you?
This area is riddled with protocol bases. Since we helped Captain Sims, the soldiers won't shoot on sight. Well, most of them won't. The ones guarding the Skethermoor interchange entrance are hostile, but attacking these guys won't aggro the people on the outside. After experimenting with the game's AI, I found that you can pick off isolated stragglers, loot their gear, and get away with it, as long as no one finds the body. But once they do, they will connect the dots and basically you are toast.
Somebody kill the bastard!
The Skethermoor prison complex was built long before the disaster. One of the letters reveals that the facility once held captured Nazi scientists who were coerced into cooperating with the government. All guards must be capable of at least conversational German. Maintain the fiction that Germany has been entirely captured by the USSR and the inmates have no homes to return to.
Unless, wonder of wonders, you're more intelligent than you look.
We have learned a lot about Dr. Garrow from various bits of correspondence, audio logs, and NPC testimony. She works for Bard, the British Voltech. She is not to be trusted, supposedly, but as a free-thinking individual, I will form my own opinions.
What the hell?
So Dr. Garrow escapes through a tunnel leading to the interchange, and then closes the door behind her. Very cool. Now we are trapped in the depths of a secret prison, with a legion of soldiers standing between us and daylight. So let's talk about the weapons in Atomfall, while blasting badass music from Hammer and Sickle RPG. Rifles are good at most things. Great damage and range, relatively common ammunition. Later in the game you'll get a bullpup rifle with a scope, which is just unfair. SMGs are great close-range anti-personnel weapons. Duh. The problem is that there aren't enough SMG bullets in the entire game for more than a handful of firefights. Or so I thought. That might be a skill issue. Once you upgrade your gun, it becomes pretty good at landing headshots from a distance, which is very economical actually. I wonder if the soldiers on the outside know about what happened in the prison. Oh shit, they do. An important feature of a pistol is that it occupies a normal inventory slot instead of one of more precious weapon slots. Shots in the head are lethal even for heavily armored troopers. Shotgun is the best druid exterminating device. It's a thing of beauty. Most of the time, using a shotgun against robots is a bad idea, but if the level geometry lets you get close enough to their weak point, the head, a shotgun can erase a mech from existence. Siding with Dr. Garrow effectively means siding with the British government.
Just how on earth you got inside a secured facility?
She wants us to extract a sample of Oberon so that the research on the alien organism can continue elsewhere.
Please tell me where she is.
But our friend Dr. Holder has different ideas. Garrow's recklessness, ignoring the warnings of biochemists, makes her directly responsible for the incident and the loss of so many lives. Remember Joyce, a visitor from the outside? She asked us to repair the radio towers so that she could send a message beyond the quarantine. I see. So it appears Joyce is a visitor from outside the UK. Hey Joyce, who is Agravane?
Probably just some loading menu message that might have meant something to someone 5 years ago.
Like Garrow, she wants us to recover a sample of Oberon, except that Joyce probably intends to give it to the Kremlin.
Do what you must.
Now, before we go explore test site Mariah from the Red Strain DLC and then trigger the ending, I want to talk about the fan theories. We'll get to test some of these very soon. Who is the protagonist of Atomfall? We know that he is not a local, because the villagers and the cities elsewhere don't recognize him. We know that the protagonist is not a scientist from the interchange, because the members of the original research staff do not know who he is. They are quite explicit about this.
You're not one of them.
A popular fan theory is that the protagonist is a survivor from the ambush on the expedition convoy by the Druids, the same convoy that brought Joyce into the zone. Arguments in favor of this theory is that in one of the endings it is shown that we wear a very similar outfit as her. Arguments against this theory is that Joyce doesn't recognize him, and I see no reason for her to lie about this. The outfit thing might be just the devs reusing an asset.
Меня зовут Topolov.
Another fan theory is that the player is an amnesiac communist agent, or perhaps even Agravane. One of the letters we find says that Agravane is on the outside, but another implies that they are inside the quarantine zone. Perhaps Agravane is just a general coded term for a spy, or maybe there are several Agravanes.
Женщин!
Maybe, but I find this unconvincing. The second letter was probably written by Joyce after she entered the zone. And is the identity of the protagonist even that important? The game is not about us. Well, the reason it is important is because the mystery of the protagonist might be related to the grand mystery of Atomfall, and that is, who is the voice on the phone? The one who initiates the main quest. We were never given a definitive answer. A common reading is that the voice is a hallucination. Our mind was damaged by the zone, and this is our way of reminding ourselves what needs to be done. We can hear the red phone, but when it rings in crowded areas, no NPC reacts. One character claims that the lines were cut years ago. Some booths, or at least the very first one, appear in unlikely places. This is some Alice in Wonderland type of stuff. Finally, the voice always seems to be aware of what we are doing, even when there are no witnesses. Okay, I don't want to skip too far ahead, but there is one event that happens very late in the story that shows that voice does in fact have physical control. Clearly, the voice isn't entirely the product of our imagination. Moving on, the artificial intelligence theory. This universe has robots with something resembling intelligence. According to the subreddit, there is even a note somewhere suggesting that there were experiments into Oberon-based AI. This would explain the entity's apparent omniscience. Robots are scattered throughout the game world, giving it access to near-total surveillance. That's pretty convincing. But there are weaknesses in this theory. In some of the dialogue, the operator doesn't sound like a machine at all. At times, he's almost Yoda-like. When we repair the central processor, the voice gives no feedback, even though there is a telephone right there in the same room. Nevertheless, the AI theory is quite strong, but I believe I have an even better reading. The supernatural theory. Perhaps there was an established character right in front of our eyes all this time. The Druid religion predates the disaster. Perhaps there always was a local god, but after the events of Windscale, its throne got usurped by an imposter, the voice in the soil, Oberon. This would make the two entities enemies. Prophecy, binding, shape-shifting, spirit bargains. This explains the strange placement of the booth, and it explains the perfect knowledge of the entity and why it talks like Yoda sometimes. It's a Loki-esque druid god. But this theory has a very serious flaw. Much of the voice's dialogue does not sound like you are conversing with anything supernatural, especially when contrasted with Oberon, who does a far better job of presenting itself as a godlike figure. If I were to rate the theories by which one is the most fun, the supernatural theory would come on top. But if I were to rate them by plausibility, it would probably be some variation of the hallucination theory that accounts for physical control somehow. So anyways, to access the Red Strain expansion, you take the elevator down in the mines. The new area is beautiful and visually distinct, in no small part because of what appears to be Red Oberon. Enjoy these quiet moments. It will all go to hell very soon. Meet the locals. These are civvies, soldiers and scientists contaminated by the Red Strain. Man-hacks! An absolute waste of taxpayers' money. The metallic shell doesn't make them any more resistant to kicks, but it does make them easier to spot. My recommendation is to bring the scoped rifle to handle the big robots patrolling the test site. There is a lot of ammo in this expansion, many opportunities to use the neglected weapons from the base game. The reason there is so much ammo has to do with these little armories you open with atomic batteries. Some individuals complain that the batteries don't have enough uses. Well, they do now. Your first objective is the command building, visible from miles away.
Hello?
I see what this is. A secluded science facility, robotic enemies, brains in jars. Welcome back, Big MT from Fallout New Vegas. The project leaders transformed themselves into this voluntarily for the most part. Clearly their grand plan, whatever it was, didn't go well. Dr. Gillian Spender spent the last 5 years locked in the cupboard. The big idea is that you collect brains and insert them into this machine called the processing department. The operator is even more incoherent than usual. So we explore the map and collect the brains. To get one of them, I had to travel all the way back to Skethermoor in the main game. And eventually I realized why this expansion is so uncharacteristically generous with ammunition. It's because of these guys. Synaptic units, an advanced class of robot enemy with a human brain. They can soak up an absurd amount of punishment. You can kill them, sure, but it's probably smarter to avoid the synaptics altogether. And what are you?
I am designated Unit 45.
Doesn't he kind of sound like the operator?
I am officially termed an extracted intelligence.
Well, science, damn it. Buy AI theory, sell everything else. Unit 45 explains that it was part of an early corporate attempt of creating an AI. Eventually it was downgraded to manual labor after its extracted intelligence was made obsolete by the subsequent inventions. So the explanation for the Yoda-like dialogue is that the operator is not entirely a machine. This heavily supports the AI/EI theory of the operator. However, it still doesn't explain who the player is, or why the booths are placed in strange spots, or the entity's perfect knowledge of what we do. But yeah, rip the Druid God theory. I was really proud of that one. So what's the next step in your master plan? British Space Program, Project High Albion, a space station floating above Earth. The project is almost finished, and it will surely wipe the smiles off the faces of the Americans and the Soviets. There is a rocket at the test site. The brains want to go to space. In splendid isolation, unbounded by gravity and mortality, they will form a think tank of sorts. And then they will solve the world's problems. Perhaps even trace Oberon's path and find its origin. Wait a minute. A reddish virus? A space station? Preserved genius from the past? Welcome back, Fallout the Frontier. Red Strain is a mutated form of Oberon. It grows rapidly in the local soil. Doesn't seem to have a personality like the thing posing as a druid god. We can harvest bits of the red strain and mix them with alcohol and some chemicals to make skill points, basically. The expansion adds new skills for you to spend the points on, like the ability to use robot weapons. You might have noticed that there are 5 slots for brain jars, but there are actually 6 brains. We'll have to make a choice. The 6th is Dr. Keen, who allegedly started this whole mess. This is the big ethical conundrum of the expansion. Some government spooks, tried to get a sample of the red strain off-site. Keen thought it was too dangerous. The only way to stop the transfer was to initiate a quarantine. And the only way to initiate a quarantine was to release the red strain. The brains killed everyone. And worst of all, it's very likely that some of the samples still escaped the perimeter. Dr. Spender wants us to go back to the interchange, do the main quest, and then return here to launch the space rocket that would bring the brain folk to High Albion. That is Ending 1. There is also Ending 2, which is way more insane.
Please do not plug him in. Let's...
Dr. Keen says we cannot take any chances. The red strain is a threat to humanity. We need to destroy the facility where the government spooks are keeping the samples. He knows where it is, and he knows how to do it. Contingency Apollyon. We will eradicate the infection by bringing High Albion down on top of it. Wait a second. Mad scientists solving complex problems by nuking themselves. Welcome back, Chris Avalon.
Enough. Now that I'm here, there's no further need for pointless debate.
The processing department are what they call beta cocks, and Keen easily bullies them into submission by the power of his presence alone. The first step is aligning the radio array. The second step is going back to the main game and doing the main quest. There is no avoiding this. The interference field caused by Oberon needs to be gone. Oh well, back to the interchange. It is done. The interchange is restored. The way into Windscale is open. Thanks for ruining my moment of triumph, Doc. The truth is under the Windscale plant, and the way there is through the interchange. Did you know that England exists in real life? So does the power plant. The Windscale fire of October 1957 was the worst nuclear accident in the United Kingdom's history, though it wasn't nearly as disastrous as Chernobyl. Are you ready for the final exam? Craft tonics to protect yourself against the organism. Hack defense systems to deal with ferals. Use Molotovs to suppress Oberon life forms. Target weak points on robots. Power devices with atomic batteries. The bright glow at the bottom, that's the meteor itself. Dr. Garrow is dead, and Captain Sims probably wants nothing to do with us anymore. But all other endings remain open. This is like the final level of Deus Ex 1. You choose your ending and then make it happen by interacting with something on the map. This machine can extract a piece of Oberon for us to trade to international communism or international capitalism in exchange for our freedom. Mother Jago wants us to feed the organism with some vitamins. The Voice wants us to set explosives and destroy the facility. This option is always available, even if you have never interacted with any other quest givers. But I will go with Dr. Holden's plan of killing the entity with poison. Here is how it works. We insert the poisoned canister into the fluid intake device. Then we open the fluid release valves. Then we head upstairs to the control room and pull the lever. But it's not over yet.
What have you... Poison?
You can tell that the poison worked. The beauty of Oberon is gone from the world.
There is no escape.
take from what you are.
Strangely, Oberon receives more character development after its death than prior, although this might be because of how I played the game. You are an ant before the deluge. Fate is not your friend. The gift will never be offered again. The Druids have gathered at Windscale. You see that silhouette over there? That's Mother Jago. And that's all it takes. She probably wasn't even infected by Oberon. After all, she was the one who taught us the recipes for the infection-resistant tonic. Mother Jago was a believer, not a thrall. Atomfall has one final surprise in store for us. Poisoning Oberon triggered an earthquake that collapsed most of the interchange tunnels. The facility has been overrun, with protocol soldiers from one side and Druids from the other. The Protocol are deploying their elite reserves, troops with gas masks and bullpup rifles. Now they are actually like the Half-Life 1 Marines. Our goal is to regroup with Dr. Holder in the medical tunnels, but the path there is blocked.
Citizens of Wyndham.
That means we're forced to take a long way around, through Wyndham village, which is under siege by the pagans. Our blue eyes mark us as infected, and until they fade, we'll have to stay hidden, unless we want to become barred test subjects.
With luck, these wretched blue eyes of ours will fade over time.
Holder reveals a hidden ladder, descending far below the medical tunnels, which are beneath the interchange, which itself lies beneath Cumberland. Now we go into the hollow earth. And then, the ending slides, with a voice doing the narration. Holder never had much of a plan beyond poisoning the organism. We killed many bad guys, and did some quests too. The interference field collapses, and at last, the world will see what happened here. Something about this ending bothers me. We never learned how Oberon actually spreads. If Holder insists on our isolation, does that mean that in a few months we will emerge as a new source of infection? Well, I guess it's a problem for the future me. Alright, let's reload a save and try Keen's ending. To bring down the space station, we need to physically destroy Oberon by arming these fail-safe explosive charges. Then you head to the control center and trigger the self-destruct. And then we run back, through Windscale, through the interchange, through the Wyndham village, all the way back to test site Mariah.
People may never understand what we did here. Indeed, they may judge us madmen.
What do you mean they will never understand? Certainly they will when we tell them, after we get out of here.
More beautiful than I would have ever dreamt. I've been planning this for so long. I've often tried to imagine how it would feel to actually face it.
Hold on! That earlier conversation with Keen made me think that we're about to bring a station down on another site in Cumberland.
This is it, my friend. Everything we've done was all for this.
Perhaps the real Atomfall were all the brains we made along the way. The voice is still doing the end credits narration, and seeing as the main character dies in this ending, this convincingly debunks the hallucination theory once and for all. The operator states the obvious. If the Red's train samples were outside the blast zone, then we just evaporated an eighth of England for nothing. This ending is insane, and it's easily my favorite. Get the new Red Strain expansion, as well as the main game, by following the link in the description or the pinned comment. The game and the DLCs are available on Steam, Epic Games Store, PS5, PS4, and Xbox. Atomfall. Pros. An impressively open structure for how important the narrative is. Explore the locations and meet the characters in any order. Kill critical NPCs, do whatever. The game trusts you to piece things together on your own. There is no quest compass, and the adventure is concise. The game doesn't waste your time. Atomfall. Cons. I find that it's very hard to be afraid of the beautiful blue plant that is Oberon. One could argue that this elegance is exactly what makes it a smart and dangerous predator. But when you compare Oberon to classic immersive sim adversaries like The Many or Shodan, it just doesn't emanate that sense of dread. They should have made Oberon a permanent presence in your head, commenting on the adventure, kind of like GLaDOS. My wish for Atomfall 2 is that they introduce the story elements in reverse. Start with the infection, the organism, the soldiers, the Black Mesa crisis, and then introduce the village and the ordinary people trying to live normal lives in the middle of it all. This is a better formula, I am HO. The next big narrative video on this channel will be about chronologically the last of the classics of the Boomer Pantheon, Mask of the Betrayer. Many individuals have slipped into my DMs asking when the next colony ship video is coming out. Rest assured, I haven't forgotten this channel's role as an organ for promoting Iron Tower games. The problem is, this year we had too many repeats, 3 Fallouts and 2 Morrowinds, and then I had to stick to easier projects because we had a baby. So I'm pushing colony ship content into the first months of the next year. In the meantime, feel free to propose fun character concepts. See you in a few weeks.